Now we're on Daf Chav Zayin Amid Beis. A man ordered a chavis, and the seller delivered a kad. And most people in that city call a kad by the name kad because it's a small vessel. They call a chavis because it's a larger vessel, and therefore the buyer is claiming, based on rov, that I never bought a kad. I ordered a chavis. But we have a principle called ein holchem b'momen achar rov. And this is the principle of Shmuel later on Daf Mem Vav, when a person sells a shor, and it turns out the shor is a nagchon. Well, a nagchon could be used for its meat, will shech the animal. Comes along the buyer and he says, no. I didn't want to buy a nagchon. I wanted to buy a shor lecharisha. And most people, when they buy a shor, they want to use it for charisha. They don't want to just shecht it because it's a nagchon. But we're going to say here, Amotzi mechaver v'laraya, and rov is not a strong enough raya to be motzi miches kaso, and therefore the seller has the yodo elyona, and the buyer is going to have to be stuck with a shard nagchan, or in our case, with a kad. And the Gemara there on Daf Mem Vav quotes Rav. Rav disagrees with Shmuel, and he holds that Azlina Basaruba. We go according to Rov Anoshin. And most people will buy a shor for charisha, not for shchita. And our sugya reflects the sheet of Shmuel against Rav. However, there is a Tosfos back on Chav Zayin Amud Aleph, Dibra Maschil Haminiach, which is the first Tosfos in this perek. And he says, I don't understand. What do you mean, Ein Holchem Momen Acharov? Indeed, in a Fashos, where we count up the number of judges who condemn the accused for capital punishment, we'll put the man to death. Well, why don't you say Ein Holchem? The Torah apparently relies on Rov. And if the Torah relies on Rov and Dini Nefashos, so we'll kill a person and execute him as condemned to death based on Rov, then how much more so in Dini Momenos we should rely on Rov? Gevaldige kasha of Tosfos. Tosfos answers that Rov Dayanim is different than any other Rov, because in Dayanim we say that once the Rov Dayanim were machriya and they handed down a verdict, then the miyud is considered kemisha eno, as if they don't exist at all. But that's not the case in all Rovs. In all Rovs we have a miyud. Now the Mishnah says that okay, so Ruvain put a kad in Rosh Hashanah, but Shimon is walking Rosh Hashanah. He should be very careful. He should be looking in the way he went. He should not, he should not be breaking someone's kad. And even though he didn't do it deliberately, but nevertheless, there's a certain element of pshia here. And the Gemara offers three answers. First answer: Amri debei Rav, Mishmei de Rav, b'memale rishus harabim kula chavios. The Mishnah patters up Shimon the shover because the entire ma'avar, the entire way that would allow a person to move forward in the public domain, was filled with chavios. And we'll see soon that depends upon a sugya called Ovid inish dina lenafsh. Shmuel Amar ba'fei l'shanu. Shmuel says the Mishnah is talking about a case where it was dark, and therefore, although you're right, a person should be careful the way he walks, but in the dark he can't see, and therefore he's not chayav for the nezek. And the third answer is Rabbi Yochanan Omar b'keren zavos. Now the Mishnah is talking about a case where the Malachavis put his chavis down in a corner between two streets, in such a way that when you walk down this street, you don't see the chavis that's in the Keren Zavis. It's hidden from your view. The careful reading of our Mishnah could reflect both the interpretations of Shmuel and Rabbi Yochanan, but not Rav. The Kirab, if you can explain that we're talking about a person who put the chavios straight across the width of Rishus Harab, my area Niskal. Why does the Mishnah say that he slipped and fell and broke the Kli? Afilu Shiber. He would be allowed to deliberately break the Kalim in order to guarantee himself passageway. The Gemara rejects it. You're right. The Mishnah could have told me that he has the right to break the chavis. So why does it say that he tripped and fell? Because in the Seifa, we're talking about a case of him Huzakba, where the person who walked in Rishus Harabim was victimized and he was damaged, and the Balach Chavis is Chayav B'Nizko, that din only applies in Niskal. But Shavar, if he tries to break the Chavis and he injures his foot while he breaks the Chavis, then he doesn't have to pay, the Balach Chavis doesn't have to pay for the Nezek. My time to Azik Anafshe. He injured himself. This Ketani Nami Reisha Niskal. So Niskal and the Reisha is only Agavurcha in order to maintain the symmetry with the Sefer. Now the Gemara offers an alternative explanation of the Sefer. Why is the Niskal Potter? Amalei Rabbi Abel Rav Ashi Hachi over Marava Mishmei de Rabbi Ula. The reason why the Niskal is not Chayev when he breaks the Chavis, and we don't say, wait a minute, you weren't careful the way you walked. A person doesn't usually look carefully as he walks. He walks through the Rishus Harabim, and if he's nitkal and he breaks something, okay, but he's not responsible for it. So it turns out, just to summarize, we have machlokas amoroim here in the chiyuv of a person who's walking. What is the nature of his obligation? According to Rav and Shmuel and Rav Yochanan, a person has to be mizbonen, so he shouldn't be mazik anything while he's walking Rishus Harabim. And therefore, if niskal and hizik, he's chay, unless the person filled up the entire Rishus Harabim with chavios, or it was at night, or it was in a keren zone. But according to Rabbi Ula, a person in general is not chayiv to be mizbonen b'darko. As he's walking, he doesn't have to look, and therefore he's potter in all these cases. Hava uvda, there's a case in Arda where a person was nitkal and he broke someone's kelim. B'derech halichos v'chiev Shmuel, and Shmuel says he has to pay. And B'Pumpadisa, that a similar case, and Chayv Rav said he has to pay. Bishlem Shmuel kimishmatei. I understand that Shmuel was machayefin, based on Shmuel's interpretation of the Mishnah, that the reason why he's potter in the Mishnah nitkal is because it was bafelu at night. But in a case during the day, he's responsible, and if he has to pay damages for nitkal. But El Rava who says Yechayev, even in this set of circumstances, Lema Kishmuel Svirale, did he accept Shmuel? Amar Papa, you cannot prove from Rava that he holds like Shmuel. Arno di Atzra Havi. So what's Karno di Atzra? The Maisa that happened, and Rava said he's Chayev, was a case where a person put down kalim at the corner that was contiguous to what's called the Beis Habad, where they do the katisha and they smash the zaysim to get out the oil from the olives. And the minhag was then, back in the day, that when the Beis Habad was full with people, then those who came later, would leave their kalim in the corner, right near where the people went out of the Beis Habad. They came Rishus Ka'avdi. This is a very unique case. In general, you're not allowed to put kalim. Nobody gives you rights to put kalim down in the middle of Rishus Harabim. But here, you had rights to do so because of this halacha of Karna Diatzra. And therefore, anyone who's coming out of the Beis Habad is responsible to look and be careful that he shouldn't be mazik something, because very often when there was an overflow crowd, they used to leave their kalim right there outside the Beis Habad. And therefore, Rava says he's chayav. The nitkal has to pay tashluminas. Shalach le Rav Chisda Rav Nachman. Harei amru l'rechuva shalosh. Rechuva means be'ita. Be'ita means kicking. And shalosh means 3 sloyah. So a man kicks his friend, let's say on his knee or whatever. I mean, with his knee. And he has to pay 3 sloyah. And that's boshes. Levi'ita chamesh. If he uses the not the front of his foot, but the back of his foot, the kaf regel, that's even more of a boshes. He has to pay chamesh slime. And with nokres, so nekeres sholoshes. Right? If he hits him with the saddle of a donkey, that's a great busha. You humiliated him. He has to pay 13 slime. Lefanda demora lekupa demora mai. What if a person hits his friend, gives him a smack with the handle of a mader? What's a mader? Is a shovel, the handle of a shovel, or he hits him with the iron part of the shovel itself. How much do you shots up? How much do you evaluate his boshes? How much does he pay for debate boshes? Sholach leiser of Nachman responds to Chisda. Chisda knosa kabagmus bebavel. You are collecting tashlume boshes. Boshes is a knas. We'll try to see why. And in Bava, we don't have smuchim, and we cannot collect knossos, impose knossos in Bava. Emily Gufadi of the Echavi. Tell me the details of the story. Now, why is boshes called a knas? So here, Rashi says that is not really a knas. Again, it's not moment, it's not knas, it's dumya the knas, and you cannot collect it in bava. Because boshes doesn't return lost money. Shalach le Rav Chisda sends back to Rav Nachman the details of the case. Ta'ahu gargusa debate tre. There was water that was owned in a partnership of 2 people. They made a heskem, an agreement that every other day I will draw the water from this cistern, and on the other days you will draw the water from the cistern. So one of them stole the mayim on the day that's not his. So his friend says to him, today is my day for the water. Lo ashkich bay, and he doesn't pay any attention to him. Shakal panja demora bechaye. So he took the handle of a shovel and he hit him, and finally he got him to stop drawing the water. So therefore, Rav Chisda says to Rav Nachman, I want to know how much he should have to pay him for debate boshes. Amalei. So Rav Nachman responds to Rav Chisda, Mea pande v'fande de mechayim. Even if he hits him 100 times with the handle of a shovel, you can't force him to pay anything. He was allowed to do so. Somebody is stealing his water. He has a right to do whatever he has to do in order to protect his water. And even according to the Mandi Amar, which we'll see later on, who insists that you're not allowed to take the law into your own hands. But for Mokum Seder, if you say quietly that, well, the water is going to be gone, everybody agrees, it's unanimously accepted that in a Mokum Seder, to Yitmar, we had a machlok between Rabbi Yehuda and Rav Nachman. Rabbi Yehuda Omar lo avid inishtin l'nafshe. Rav Nachman Omar avid inishtin l'nafshe. But heichadikab say the kuli alma lo pligi the avid inishtin l'nafshe. Everyone agrees that you can't wait to take a person to Bezdin, and in the meantime you'll suffer an irretrievable loss. He pligi heichad the lekab seda. When there's no immediate hefsed, Rabbi Yehuda Omar lo avid inishtin l'nafshe. They came into lekab seda lezel kamidaino. Since he's not going to lose anything, let him take the guy to Bezdin, to the Dayan, and it'll be Motzi the moment he did. And Rav Nachman Omer Ovid Inish Dina Lenafshe, which means a person allowed to take the law into his hands. They came in the Bidin Ovid Lo Torah. He doesn't want to go through the whole rigmarole of the court system, hire a lawyer and send out a subpoena, force the guy to go to Beis Din, and then he refuses, blah, 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 blah. He's taking that which is his, rightfully his. Let him do it. Moser Rav Kahana asks a kasha on Rav Yehudu, says, Lo avin inish Tosefta. Ben Bagbag Omer, if a person has a chayfetz, an object that belongs to himself, and he finds it in the chutzner of his friend stole it. Says Ben Bagbag, Al tikones lechatzer chavercha litol shechosh lo b'shus shevet teiro olav kigana el shvar eshinov ve'emor lo shali ani notel. In other words, he should enter into this friend's chutzner bechazka and do it in the public eye and make a declaration, I'm taking that which is mine. So you see clearly from this Tosefta that you're allowed to take the law into your own hands against Rav Yehuda, who says, Lo avid inish dini lenafshi. Amalei, Rav Yehuda says to Rav Kahana, here we turn to Chav Ches, Imach, is this a kasha? Ben Bagba Yechidahu. Don't quote a minority opinion. Pligi Rabbanan, the Rabbanan rejected Ben Bagba, and they hold, Lo avid inish dini lenafshi. The Gemara gives us an alternative answer. Rav Yanei Omer, that even according to Ben Bagbag, a man is not allowed to take the law into his own hands unless it's a makom hefsek. Umay shvar shinov bidin, which means he has to be toveim to din. Ihachi, if that be the case, that he has to be toveim to din. So why does the Brisa say Emarlo? It should have said Omrim lo miboilet. That Beis Din should say to him, to the Balachotzer. And furthermore, let's ask another question. Shaliani notel. Why does the Brisa say Shaliani notel? If it's Beis Din, then Beis Din say Shalo notel. Not Shali, the first person. Kasha. Okay then, so this is where we're going to stop for today. On Daf Chav Ches. And we'll pick it up in Mitzvah Shem tomorrow. Thank you very much.